Good afternoon, Boulder Rotary. John Kopke, could you please lead us in the pledge and the four-way test?
Thank you, President Chad. Would you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you. So welcome to Boulder Rotary, the best place to be on a Friday afternoon.
Thanks, Joe.
Whether you're here in the room with us or on Zoom. Today is a special day. March is Women's History Month, and Tuesday was International Women's Day. And International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. Would all the women please stand up and be recognized? Thank you for all you do. Jancy Campbell, can you please introduce the guests and visitors today?
Yes. And Bill, I think you have something, a flag to pass on to me. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oops, here it is.
I got it, yes. Do we have any visiting Rotarians?
Jancy,
And then,
would you let Bob maybe just give a minute or two, just a couple seconds on his experience in Roswell with the banner?
you.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi. This last Thursday, I visited my son, who's a very active Rotarian in Roswell, and we exchanged flags. It was a lot of fun. And they have a club about the same size as ours, and maybe even a little larger. And so it was a great experience overall.
Thanks, Bill. And Marty, introduce your guest.
It's my pleasure to introduce Scott Gressler to the club and to those online. Scott is interim CEO of True Community Care, and we have his papers in for membership in Boulder Rotary Club. So welcome, Scott. He's not a stranger to some of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jancy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And I'd like to welcome all of our guests who are joining us online today. I think we have a couple. I think we have Jessica. If you would like to unmute yourself and just say a few words, say hi.
Hi, my name is Jessica Bars. I know I've joined as a guest in the past. I guess with Marty, she introduced me to the club, and I appreciate being able to join. Thank you.
Fantastic. And I believe we have Dominica again. Hi, Dominica.
Good afternoon, all. It's a pleasure to be with you here again. I'm past president of the Rotary Club of Montego Bay, and it's great to be able to be with you for International Women's Day and Week. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I don't believe we have any more guests online. And so I'd like to pass it over to Chad. Enjoy the program, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Vanessa, and welcome visitors and guests. And thanks for visiting the Roswell, Georgia Club, which is in my old hometown from a long, long time ago. I highly encourage people to visit clubs when you travel. It is really one of the greatest things about Rotary. A couple of announcements. Everybody thinks that the business of Boulder Rotary happens on Fridays at noon. While it's the best place to be is true, most of the work happens in other times when we're not here together. And last weekend was one of those weekends where there was just a lot going on in Rotary. And I just want to point out a few things, especially for the newer members, on the stuff that goes on behind the scenes away from the Friday meetings. First of all, we had the PETS President-elect Training Seminar, where President-elect Cassidy and our future area governor, Bill Meyer, both attended. So they were there with several districts at the PETS training seminar. We also had the Destination Imagination competition that was going on at Boulder Valley Schools. So would all of those who participated in that and volunteered please stand up and be recognized? And then finally, we had 9 outbound students that we gave their first round of orientations to for youth exchange. And just so you know, out of those 9 district-wide, 5 of them are being sponsored by our very own club. So, so to segue into some of the future projects that we have going on, I wanted to point out the Rotary Emergency Ready program got great feedback after Marlene announced it last week. There is a link in the rib to find out more information and to join, so be sure to look out for that. And we're also getting some traction on the 9 Mile Corner Pillars project. There's been a lot of momentum growing. I'm not sure if anyone had a chance to see the Denver Post. Sue Deans had a great op-ed in there about the pillars and about ensuring their preservation. And there is a new website. If you go to 9milecornerpillars.com, that's the number 9, 9milecornerpillars.com. We do have a page set up that has a lot of information, a lot of upcoming events with that project. Next up, I'd like to have Danny Lindau come talk about the Service Above Self dinner.
Well, as you know, we're having a party on May 6th. So the Service Above Self Award will be given to Boulder County community service people, and we're still looking for nominations. One more week for adults and students up to age 21. So if you know of anybody who really is doing great work out here in the community, please send it to Kitty or Sally. And just so you know, the event is at the Boulder Country Club, and the cost for the meal is $100, and we do have sponsorships also available. So, hey, party coming up, May 6th.
Everybody likes a good party. See you on May the 6th. Bill Rubin, can you please come give us an update on the RILA program?
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Chad, for giving me the time to address you all about RILA and updating you on what's going on with the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards conferences that we offer for youth. My name is Bill Rubin. I'm the RILA representative for our club. There are RILA representatives for over 100 clubs in 2 districts that serve these conferences. We've had a 2-year hiatus, as many have, because of COVID, but now we're starting things back up, so we're very excited about that. It's really a life-changing experience for kids. And so how you all can help is by finding someone who you know to apply to go to the conferences. It's www.rockymountainrila.org. You can also assist with interviewing the applicants. So if you're interested in that, let me know. You can serve as a senior counselor at the conferences if you're interested. Again, let me know. And after the kids go to the conferences, we bring them here to our club to talk about their experiences. You can help sponsor them and host them. So my contact information is, you can go to our club information, or it is wrubin3@msn.com. You can send me an email. You can talk to me after the meeting. We're going to show you a video now about put together by some of the students that have gone to the conferences and just talking about their experiences and why it's been life-changing for them. So you ready for that, Fred? Thanks.
Hi, my name is Miguel, and I am a RILA alum and a former Young RILA counselor. RILA is a leadership conference sponsored by Rotary. Around the world, it takes on many different forms, but Rocky Mountain RILA does it best. Districts 5440 and 5450 offer 3 different types of RILA, and they're all meant to empower our youth to unleash their leadership potential. RILA is for rising high school juniors and seniors, and it takes place at the Estes Park YMCA camp. Young RILA is for rising 8th graders, and RILA Plus is for high schoolers who have physical disabilities, and it is held at the fully ADA-compliant Easter Seals camp in Empire, Colorado. At each camp, conferees are split up into teams and led by junior counselors, who are alumni of the program, and senior counselors, who are typically Rotarians. Conferees learn through doing. They get to participate in team-building activities and listen to influential speakers. The learning is experiential. Conferees are not taught leadership skills. Rather, through group reflection and discussion, they develop and practice skills such as communication, trust, strategizing, integrity, and especially empathy. Conferees leave camp equipped with the skills and mindset to return to their communities and lead confidently. And the impact of RILA lasts for a lifetime. To give you a better idea of RILA's impact, I spoke to some alumni of the program about their experiences, and here's what they had to say.
Life-changing. It's one of those places where you are expected to be your full self.
It was a very unique opportunity and experience for me as someone who went to a school that didn't have a lot of resources.
The Young RILA was one of the more formative leadership experiences that I've ever had in my life.
The best experience in my life up to that point.
We have different activities where they just learn more about themselves, right? Like the true colors, like what type of personality are you?
RILA was really the first pivotal point in me kind of learning how to be independent.
One of the things I remember the most as a conferee is being put in a group with a bunch of other kids from all over Colorado and Wyoming.
Different populations of people that I'd really never interact with before.
From small towns, from cities.
It was just a great opportunity to connect with other students or youth from different schools and kind of get a sense of their backgrounds.
You don't know anyone and you're compiled with a ton of people and said, hey, here's your team for the week. I think that's a little bit scary at first.
You know, there's not a lot of youth that were Latino or Latina or Latinx. So I think that was a bit difficulty for me because I think it was in a way a culture shock.
It was a lot to take in, but I think, it was a very open and welcoming space where people actually had the opportunity to learn more.
For Joys though, it was great to create friendships even with those differences.
It is a fun, shared experience. It's experiential. So the learning doesn't happen in classrooms. It happens by doing activities, doing team building, challenges.
Some of the moments that really stand out in my mind as a counselor were the ones where I could just be up there on stage, be goofy. The conferees they'd love it and they would be inspired to be goofy.
We get to write just a special little note to each other. Hearing those little words of affirmation, I think that definitely brought joy to the camp.
It was the greatest thing getting to be around you guys because you guys never settled, you never became complacent, and through your lack of complacency, you made other people get better because y'all were doing real cool work. I felt the need to be a part of that cool work.
Coming back with kind of a new sense of confidence within the realm of high school and everything.
I used to ask questions and not have the intent to listen, but now I think I ask questions with the intent to listen and to care what other people think.
The debriefing, I think that was the glue to RILA. It made you pretty much understand at a deeper level, how can you go out and apply this to the world after you leave?
It shifted the way that I connected with people, I would say. Oh, it's okay to be this way and to be open and to really show kindness in a different way. You just lead with more compassion and more understanding. And I think much of that is needed today.
Definitely a constellation of support.
So then getting to be around 12 other individuals who just loved each other unconditionally, supported each other unconditionally, talked to each other unconditionally, it gave me the support group that I needed.
A support system. Having people who I know support me, who I know love me, who would do anything to help me out.
Being able to trust myself that, I am in this position for a reason. Someone trusts me in this position, and that I have the skill set to be able to be a leader in, whichever context that I'm in.
I also think I've learned how to navigate new situations and be able to talk to people I've never met before and be able to just, learn about people's stories.
I walked away from Ryla really understanding Rotary and the service above self ethos really well, and really applying that to my life. After Ryla, I did Rotary Youth Exchange. I got involved with Interact. It's been really great to tap into that community of Rotary International.
I came out of camp with confidence of being a first-generation college student and becoming like a board-certified scientist.
I'm an academic. I work on medieval Italian literature, and I teach classes to college kids. I think the teaching aspect, I think I'm just so much better at it than I would have been otherwise on account of Ryla.
I run a Boys and Girls Clubs in Greeley. I'm telling you today, I am not the human being I am without being accepted to Ryla. But then we got to do young Ryla, and I think that was the ball game changer. Working with younger kids, they had a certain energy to them. It made me want to start working with youth.
Without Ryla and young Ryla, I really don't think that I would be as emotionally mature and able to cope with other people's emotions as well as I can now. That's kind of going to be a huge part of my career as a training physician, that empathy and being able to understand the situation of your patients.
I think Ryla is a great opportunity for Rotarians to really have an early impact.
It's a pretty great investment. For the cost of 1 week of Young Ryla or Ryla Plus, you get to really alter that person's life, and that has effects down the line.
You're planting seeds to essentially watch them grow. Yeah, there's so many opportunities that you're providing them.
Help them develop skills that they're going to use the rest of their life. We're talking about communication, we're talking about leadership, we're talking about advocacy.
But I do definitely encourage more diversity in those that do go to the program, because as I mentioned, when I did the program or participated in both, there wasn't many Latinos that were like me that I can connect with, and I think that can really impact the experience of the student or youth. So definitely encourage more of that.
It changes your life. It changes how you see the world. It changes how you approach problems.
Rotarians should invest in the youth in their community and the well-being of their youth, the self-confidence in the youth, and the leadership potential of the kids that are in their community.
Ryla is at its best when it gathers conferees from several different backgrounds. We want everyone to feel safe and seen and heard, because this is how you cultivate great leaders. As you consider sponsoring a student for Ryla, please look for leaders in everyone that you see, and think about how many doors you can open for our youth. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is a program that changes lives, so please contact Bill Rubin if you'd like to get involved with that. Ryla's back, Rotary Youth Exchange is back. Feels like things are getting back to normal. Yeah. Okay, raffle time. Bill, cover your eyes. 725-306. 725-306. Mr. Meyer? Going into scholarships. Thank you, sir. Fred, can we run the brew? So welcome to Boulder Rotary. This is the best place to be on a Friday afternoon.
In Rotary World, do you know what's better than Boulder Rotary on a Friday afternoon? Well, nothing actually. That was a trick question. But the second best thing is the District 5450 Conference, Friday, April 29th and Saturday, April 30th. It will include a Friday social, which will include hors d'oeuvres. Well, I wish they'd just have hors d'oeuvres, and a cash bar. And then Saturday will be speakers, dinner, and awards. $150 per person for the entire weekend. And if this is your first time attending, it's only $95 per person. Cassie and I will be there, so that's either a positive if you want to hang out with us, or a negative if you don't. But we really would like for you to hang out with us. Registration is ending on April 21st, so go to the Rib or talk to Mike and Cassidy, and we will get you registered. It is Friday, April 29th, Saturday, April 30th. It will be great and it will be motivating. Please consider registering.
We have an update from the 9 Mile Pillar Committee. Museum of Boulder is hosting a program, The Pillars at 9 Mile Corner, Their History and Future. That will be on March 29th at 7 p.m. And if you can't make it to the museum, they'll have a Zoom connection for you. Rotarian Bill Meyer mobilized a BRC movement to preserve the historic 9 Mile Pillars, a gateway to Boulder built in 1928. At the museum on March 29th, Bill will talk a little bit about that history, but there will also be a panel discussion talking about recent construction and how that has impacted the pillars, and it will talk about current efforts by a coalition of Boulder County groups to restore and preserve this part of Boulder County's history. We'll have a link and information in next week's RIB newsletter, and if you want to, you can go to the Museum of Boulder website. It's museumofboulder.org. If you're interested in the 9 Mile Pillar Committee, you can talk to Bill or email him.
Rotary International has been instrumental in helping to eliminate polio. Back in the 1980s, there were over 300,000 cases each year. In 2019, there were 176 cases. 2020, 139. And last year, 2021, there were only 6 cases. This year so far, there has been 1 case about a month ago, and sadly, just this past week, for the first time since 1989, there was a 1 case discovered in Israel. We still have our work cut out for us. They're still looking at how that case happened in the country of Israel. First time in over 30 years. Sadly as well, 8 polio vaccine workers were killed in Afghanistan. 4 women and 4 men were killed in separate areas in Afghanistan while conducting door-to-door vaccination efforts. But the vaccination campaign continues. Please know that Rotary International will not give up until we have completely eradicated polio.
For next week's program, we're going to be talking about one of Boulder's most beautiful buildings, the Duchamp Tea House. It was conceived in 1987 as a true act of kindness through the Sister Cities program and built over the next several years by some of Tajikistan's most amazing artisans. Leslie Durgan, former city council member and mayor, who has a long history of historic preservation in Boulder, will talk about this remarkable Boulder landmark. Hope to see you there. All together now.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Three Amigos, for the brew. Nancy Chin Wagner is in Las Vegas, live at the web, and she has a special membership moment.
Yes. Let me get it up. I had it on the bottom here. Today's membership moment is with Paul Jurdy. Is he standing yet?
Do I have a mic? Yes, I do. I'm here. Hi, Nancy.
Here we go. I'm glad to present for a membership moment today Paul Jurdy, who's been a member of the Boulder Rotary Club since June 16, 2006. That's 16 years. His sponsor was Patricia Limerick, and his wife's name is Marilyn. Paul Jurdy retired in 2013 from the University of Colorado at Boulder, where he served as an executive director of the Deming Center for Entrepreneurship in the Leeds School of Business. He held the role for almost 9 years, having been a member of the Deming Center Advisory Board since 1996. Paul previously held a number of senior general management and senior financial management positions. Just prior to joining the university, he was co-founder and co-managing director of Corboy and Jurdy, which was a financial advisory and financial transactions firm. Paul was a founding member of the board of the Unreasonable Institute, now called Unreasonable Group, and there was an offshoot called Uncharted. It's a nonprofit organization that serves entrepreneurs around the world to give them an, quote, unreasonable advantage in tackling some of the world's greatest challenges. He continues to engage with organizations that are committed to service and education. Among his more recent activities and advocacy roles are active participation with the Boulder Rotary Club as a member to students in the CSU GSSE, which stands for Global Social and Sustainable Enterprise MBA program, and as a mentor to the students at Watson Institute. Paul and Marilyn have 2 daughters and 1 son and 4 grandsons. My first question for you, Paul, can you tell me what sports interested you as you were growing up?
Thanks so much for going there, Nancy. I love talking about my sports career. All of the sports interested me, but the only press releases I read were my own. So I'll leave it at that.
Second question, thank you so much. What was so important to you in high school in 1965 in a small town in Watertown, South Dakota, where there was only 14,000 people there?
Yeah, well, and even more than that, it was pretty isolated. But we've talked about this earlier. I think I look back on those days of growing up in the Midwest in that high school. I then went away to college in New Hampshire. I went to Dartmouth. And in the graduating class that I was in that small school, in that small community, 4 of us students went to Ivy League schools. 1 went to Caltech and 1 went to MIT, and there were others. And I've wondered over the many decades since then that a community could have had such an excellent education program. I feel very privileged and very fortunate that I was a beneficiary of that. And obviously moving away to New Hampshire to attend college was quite an undertaking in those days. And probably one of my key memories I shared with you, Nancy, was when I was talking, every Sunday I would use the phone booth in the dorm to call home, collect call to say hello to my parents. And I observed to them that there was an awful lot of stormy, cold winter weather in New Hampshire, but that the difference between New Hampshire and South Dakota was that in South Dakota it was always a horizontal event, and in New Hampshire it was a vertical event. And my parents reminded me of that many times over the years since that I had that horizontal, vertical. I was a math geek major, so I guess that had something to do with it. But that was my distinguishing characteristic. But in any event, I felt very privileged with the upbringing I had, and I shared with you, Nancy, too, that the perspective of coming from a small town in the Midwest, I think we looked both directions for trends and fads because none came from where we lived. And I think when I got away to college and was surrounded by people from all over the world in the country, I felt that I had a very good perspective on kind of the world because we tended to be outward looking rather than so inward looking as I felt some of my classmates had been. So good memories.
Wonderful, wonderful. Last question, why is BRC still continue to be an important part of your life?
Well, when I joined the Boulder Rotary Club, and I think, as I shared with you, during my career, I was traveling so much that I felt that I hadn't really connected with the community as I wanted to, and getting to know Patty Limerick and her encouragement for me to join, I thought one of the key values would be that ability to finally tap into the core of the Boulder community more than I had been able to do. And of course, I started learning and have since come to appreciate grandly the extraordinary good works that Rotarians do and the wonderful community of members across the country. So it's been one of the highlights, certainly, of my experience here in Boulder. I feel very fortunate to have moved years ago to Boulder, but certainly Rotary has been a wonderful element of that.
And due to all the education you have, really quick, you want to mention the opportunity that people can have that you also want to recognize Meryl's son.
Yes, I do. I want to, in the broader context, a minute, Chad. I was in my office one Friday evening, ready to go home, rushing to get to a dinner with my wife. And some students wandered into my office. And the long story short, they had gotten in trouble with the university for having planned a conference inviting young people from around the world to come together and discuss the world's really big problems and entrepreneurial solutions to those. And I said, I'm kind of understanding here. First of all, they said we were drinking beer one night in our room when we were doing this. I didn't do that at that age. And secondly, I said, so I bet you're in trouble with the university because they don't know that they're hosting a conference. And they said, yeah, that's kind of it. And I said, well, I have no authority here, but I'll see if I can talk to some people and smooth the way. And that first conference of young people from around the world was the genesis of what has become some of the most mind-bogglingly impressive, wonderful organizations that I've ever had the privilege of being part of. The Unreasonable Institute, Uncharted, and certainly the Watson Institute, and now Watson University. Thanks to Eric. And recently, some of you may remember that most recently I mentored for a year a young student, a doctor, graduate from Tanzania as we say it, who had graduated from medical school. And he is now working with Dr. Cliff Gronseth on the Nyagi program with handheld ultrasound devices applied throughout the remote regions of his country, which is what Nyagi's mission is. Those kinds of stories abound, and both Unreasonable and Watson are now recognized around the world. And those young students at that time, as we referred to them, the Unreasonable Tribe, have gone on and accomplished some just remarkable things around the world. And I count that as among my greatest privileges and joys in terms of education and mentoring of young students who are doing great things in the world.
Thank you so much, Paul. And if let them know. Thank you, Chad. Back to you.
Thank you, Nancy. Dr. George Russell with birthdays.
I know you think I'm absent-minded, but your observation's blinded because, you see, to tell the truth, I don't recall being absent-minded. I got the proof right outside. I brought it along just for luck. I'll step outside and get it when I remember where I parked my truck. But that won't take very long, you see. Concentration is my pride, and I already called the locksmith since I locked the keys inside. I do need some money for the locksmith, though. I used my last quarter on the phone. I'll pay you back tomorrow. Why are you looking at me so strange with your face so full of doubt? I must have lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, you think I'm scatterbrained. Well, your observation's blinded. This seems like deja vu to me, but at least I'm not absent-minded. I want to remind people to sit at the birthday table. The money that you donate to the birthday group sends resident scholarships to the students, and so please contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Rolling the credits today, thanks Jared Reese for being the Red Badge greeter. Thanks to John Kotke for being past president greeter. Thanks to Jim and Jancy for handling the desk. Thanks to raffle promoter Bill Anderson for not winning. And thanks to the meeting team, Fred, Vanessa, Lynn, and Cassidy. Today is my 16th wedding anniversary. I'm going to celebrate this weekend. That's what I'm doing, so I hope everybody has a good weekend. My wife wanted something with a lot of diamonds. She's going to love that deck of cards. Have a good weekend.